Welcome back. It's Tuesday, and what does that mean? The bar is open. I'm gonna share some of my drink favorites as we go along in this little podcast, and one of them I just had in St. Louis this weekend with some of my friends. I've poured some Tito's vodka in here. Now, why do we like Tito's? Because one of my friends had colon cancer, and this was the drink that his doctor said, if you have to drink, if you have to. It's not about having to, it's about wanting to. Drink Tito's because it's made with corn. This is corn vodka, and therefore no inflammatory issues, which I guess if you have, I don't know about all that. But anyway, there won't be a lot of inflammatory issues. What I have in here is some Tito's vodka, and then, this was my favorite thing. I have had it before, but I didn't have it with vodka. I had it with Jameson. It's pickle juice. Just regular old pickle juice. And you dump that in there. That was my shot glass. I'm not going to use that whole shot. Well, maybe as the show goes on. I also have watch this spill all over my phone. How'd that sound? That sounded pretty good, right? And then, hold on. There we go. And now you have your pickle juice. But they had some sort of salt lick on the outside, which was really good. At a little bar in St. Louis. I was in the backyard. There was nobody there. Trust me. Oh, delicious. What is our backup? Our backup chaser is a Busch Latte. And I brought this just because you people maybe on the coast don't believe it, but they actually, in the Midwest, sell this. This is empty. This is how much I care about you people. I brought this. I didn't throw it out. It says Busch Latte, brewed for America's heartland. And then they had to put at the bottom, this is my favorite part, and my brother-in-law didn't get it. It says Busch Light is Busch Latte. Okay, so you know there were people in the Midwest going, Busch Latte? What is this shit? Where's the Busch Light? And then I'm sure they walk up to the counter and go, where's the Busch Light? And they're pissed off. And they're unhappy people. So then I'm sure they got comments, because you don't print this without somebody saying some bullshit, like we're getting too many complaints. Take it back. So there you go. That's that. That's what we're drinking. I've moved my Ron White. I'm moving Ron White, bobblehead, behind the candle, because he hasn't called me back. That's the trouble box. Mike Shannon is out. Lewis, his bobblehead, is downstairs. He'll be making an appearance maybe next week. Also, if you guys noticed from last week, well, first of all, Dolly has appeared. How about this? Huh? This place is going to end up like some psycho thing by the time I'm done with this. There's going to be so many of these. But these are my two favorite people. Like Anita Baker, but she doesn't have one. I looked. Anita doesn't have one. But before we get to Dolly, which I can't wait to get to, I'm going to do an update. Jerry Falwell Jr., who's in trouble? He had said, after his picture on the yacht with the lady who's not his wife, and they both have their pants down, and his belly's hanging over some weird pair of underwear, and he's drinking something that he says is an alcohol. As a Catholic, I can't even get with the evangelical mindset. I don't get, you can have the drink, but why are you on a yacht? Did Jesus have a yacht? I don't think so. And also, why are your pants down? That's a little more important than the drink. Well, anyway, he went on a radio show and he joked about it, and he actually said, I'm going to try and be a good boy. Okay, that's creepy on so many levels. I couldn't even get my head around it. But apparently, the board of directors at Liberty University did not enjoy his radio interview about said incident and put him on indefinite leave. Which is, what do you figure? A month? 2 months? How much time in the trouble box? And what does it really do? What does that do for Jerry? Nothing. He just doesn't have to go to work and put up with more shit. Yeah, so there's your update, because I said I would tell you what happened. And this is just a little side tip. Everybody, COVID sucks. We all know that. But here's a little something from COVID that has been super fun. If you go follow Annie Lennox on Instagram, she's just singing in her house at a piano, and it's really, really good. So there's a little tip. Now let's get to Dolly. It's really strange because I said for the first podcast and the second podcast, I don't really follow celebrities like Entertainment Tonight. I don't watch their shows. I don't know who these people are. I don't. And the only like celebrities that I really like, I try to go to Dolly shows or Stevie shows, if they're around and I'm off, stuff like that. Cher, maybe I'll get a Cher cut out. Or how about George Wallace? I love George Wallace. And my all-time favorite, I think, comedian on the planet, Louis Anderson. Maybe Louis got one because he's on a show now. Maybe he's on that show, Baskets. Thank you, Paddles. Paddles, the bartender's here in case this Busch Latte runs out. I can't believe they had to write that on the box. Well, I can, especially when my brother-in-law goes, well, I don't even get what that means. I go, Matt, they had to write it because somebody complained and didn't understand that it meant it's a joke. He goes, that's a long way to go. I don't get it. I know, Matt. Everybody in the family knows. You don't get that. And the pickle juice, I'm telling you guys, even if you don't like alcohol, just go drink pickle juice. I'm like, Jesus, I didn't even need the vodka. I could just drink that straight out of the thing. Let's see how bad it is for you. If I can read this. No carbs, winner. No sugar. What is it then? Sodium, that's why I like it. It's a salt lick. It's not a lot though. Oh wait, 470 milligrams? Well, that's not good for anybody, but who cares? It's delicious. So I don't really know what celebrities do. I don't know about the Kardashians. I just know that there's singer people, because comedy, I see a lot of it. So I like to see music when I'm off. And I said that these two are the only people. Well, this particular past week, both of my idols, right here, Stevie and Dolly, really got vocal. A lot of mouthing off from my team. And I brought, well, I guess we'll start with Stevie. Stevie, first of all, Stevie doesn't write anything. She has journal entries that somebody else then, I guess, types out on Facebook. Because I had to go to Facebook. Well, I read about it in Rolling Stone, and then I had to go to Facebook. And sometimes Stevie says, well, I don't really have a computer or a cell phone. I'm like, because you don't have to. You're a billionaire. You have a human. That's what does that. I've seen that in action. Ron White has assistants. I've seen it work. My tooth hurts. Somebody do something. And then some lady who's in the house scrambles around and makes him a dental appointment. I've always been proud of Lewis that he doesn't, Lewis does his own shit. Lewis Black, I mean, who's not up here today. I feel bad I should have brought him up. Maybe next week. He's downstairs, and he actually speaks in his bobblehead. So does Mike Shannon, but only people from St. Louis would know and appreciate that, so I won't do it. Anyway, Stevie Nicks, somebody took her journal entry, and then it was in Rolling Stone. After they said she should be our spiritual leader. I'm like, I don't know about that. Maybe a combo with Stevie and Dolly, and then Cher for super mouthy. That's why I like Cher. And Anita just ignores everything and focuses on positive things on Twitter, which is quite refreshing if you follow Anita Baker. It's all just make your own music, make your own money, don't let anybody take your stuff. Love it. That's right. I wish I'd have done that my whole life, but I didn't, because I'm a Midwest moron. So Stevie, this is the length of the journal entry, and this is only page 1, and I didn't know how to print out page 2, because every time I went to hit print, it said we'll print like 140 pages, and I'm sorry, I don't have the time to read 140 pages of Stevie's journal entry. But she's really mad because people aren't wearing masks, and I don't disagree. So I'll just read you a little bit. We're not going to read the whole thing. August 10th, 2020. 2020, as Barbara Walters would say. Welcome to 2020. I don't know why every network didn't hire her to do that at midnight. Talk about a missed softball. Would have been great. Journal entry. We still have our freedom, but we don't have much time. On July 29th, 2020, when I posted my journal entry about wearing masks, there were 141,430 deaths from COVID. Today, there are 163,000. So here's the facts here. 22,000 people have died in 13 days. A lot of people aren't a lot of people still aren't taking the wearing of a mask simple masks seriously or just trying to be aware of how close you are to others. There's a lot of people that do that. And you know what I call those people? Creepers. My friend Brian's a creeper. Like, we'll go to golf, and I'm like, you keep your creeper ass 6 feet away from me, because I know he does things I don't do. He pigs around town. He does things. And I'm like, you got to stay away from me. And then I'll turn around to get my ball, out of the, pick at the pin out and get my ball out, and he's right there. I'm like, dude, you're creeping on me, man. He's a creeper. So clearly Stevie doesn't like the creepers either. The mask and the distancing have now become a political statement. You know how it's less political? My mask has sporting things on the outside. And then people are just happy or they don't like your team, but it changes the conversation. I find it to be a good deterrent instead of just wear a mask, you're an asshole. Just, St. Louis Cardinals. How about that? My Blues one's very confusing. In some places in the South, Kentucky gas station, what's that? Nothing. You don't have hockey. Don't worry about it. Don't concern yourself with it. Lady at the gas station, which, by the way, in my travels this week, I stopped at a Love's. That's a chain, a national chain, at least in the South and the Midwest. And, like a raceway or speedway or a racetrack. And this particular Love's, outside of Paducah, had lost its liquor license because there was a giant sign. We have lost our liquor license because of partying in the parking lot. Now, I can't say I'm not above drinking in a parking lot. I've done it many times in my life. And with a little music, you don't even know you're in a parking lot after the fourth beer. You just think you're somewhere better than you're at. But I can honestly say I've never said, you know what, let's go party at the gas station on purpose. When I say a parking lot, I mean, outside of an arena before a show or something. I guess there was just nothing to do. And that Love's lost their liquor license, and nobody had a mask on. I'll be posting a video of that on my Instagram, just to stir some more shit up. So, there you go. And then Stevie said, it is a silent killer hiding in the shadows. It is stalking you. It doesn't care who you are. It's just looking for a victim, and you don't have much time. Are you aware, everyone, that if you survive this, you'll be fighting in the after effects for the rest of your life? If I get it, I probably will never sing again. Put me on a ventilator, and I'll be hoarse the rest of my life. I don't have much time. I'm 72 years old. She looks good for 72. The virus can kill you. It can kill me. And it can kill kill the chances that any of us in music have. And then it goes on. So here's my threat to you, termites. You want to hear Mama Stevie Nicks sing Landslide again? Do you? Wear your mask. You don't like Landslide? How about Edge of 17? Wouldn't you like to hear that one more time? I saw them last time they rolled through Nashville, and they were, Fleetwood Mac was excellent. Probably the best I'd ever seen them. So that's Stevie. She doesn't usually say things. She's quiet as a mouse. She just posts little weird poems and thoughts, and she's getting mouthy. I like it. Step it up, ladies. All right, then we move on to the queen of all queens. And she gets to be a bigger queen than Stevie because she's older. I think she's 74. I think Dolly's 74. Oh, shoot, I forgot my little quote books, too. Paddles will get them for the end of the show. I don't need them right now, but in a Billboard interview, some of you may have seen some of this, Dolly really went, wow, full on. And this is what you can do when you're a billionaire. Like, I can only mouth off to the extent I still need to pay off my boat. My Mercury Mariner 2007 is paid for. I don't want to brag, but I got that accomplished in 13 years. And it still runs perfectly, minus the duct tape on the door on the inside. Whatever. Even my nephew was like, Aunt Kat, you have duct tape in your car, over your car? Who cares? It holds the the stuff fell off. Whatever. So, in Billboard, according to the magazine, Dolly Parton hasn't attended any marches, but she is unequivocal in her support of protesters and the Black Lives Matter movement. That's pretty gutsy when you're a country star, says the singer. I understand people having to make themselves known and felt and seen. And of course Black Lives Matter. Do we think our white little asses are the only ones that matter? No. What do you say to that, country Western world? I'm not a big country fan, aside from her. Well, a couple others, but let's just say I don't turn it on in the car. I think I probably own maybe 8 country albums, and that depends on how you define country. So that's pretty risky for her to say that she supports Black Lives Matter for her fan base, but that's what I like about Dolly. She don't care. She also, and this is where I really got interested because I've been to this, she discusses her 2018 decision to remove the word Dixie from her dinner attraction Dixie Stampede, which has productions in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and where? Branson, Missouri. The show, which features horse riding stunts, musical productions, and competitions in the vein of medieval times. I would not say it's medieval times. It's clearly the Civil War. I mean, when you walk in, they ask you, what side do you want to be on, the North or the South? Was there a North and the South in medieval times? I mean, I guess you could describe... I don't think so. You can't describe it as medieval times. Maybe there's another show, but I saw the Dixie Stampede. I mean, come on now. It's clearly the North and South. They even had the flags. I mean, I don't know who wrote this, but anyway. It's now called Dolly Parton Stampede. Parton apparently pulled the term for the same reason the Dixie Chicks are, as of this summer, just the Chicks. Namely because Dixie serves as a romantic nickname that glorifies rather than reckons with the slave-holding Confederate South. This is her quote. When they said Dixie was an offensive word, I thought, well, I don't want to offend anybody, the singer explains. This is a business. We'll just call it the Stampede. As soon as you realize that something is a problem, you should fix it. Don't be a dumbass. That's where my heart is. I would never dream of hurting on anybody. I would never dream of hurting anybody on purpose. Okay, I'm going to get back to that because I do agree with Dolly. I don't understand the point. But first of all, I went to the Dixie Stampede in Pigeon Forge, which is right near Sevierville, which is where Dolly is from, which is about 2.5 hours away from Nashville towards Knoxville, her little mountain town of Sevierville. And the reason I went is because after I completed a Netflix special, we got, when I say I got paid for a Netflix special, it is not like Dave Chappelle. I think they give Dave Chappelle the money and then they go, would you like to round up your final payment? And we'll give Kathleen that. Sort of like at CVS when they say, do you want to round up your thing for the Heart Association? Yeah, so I had said, well, if we end up profiting off this for fun, my friend Lorene was the director, my friend Kathy did all kinds of stuff, another friend of mine, that we were going to make it a girls' weekend, the 4 of us were going to go see Dolly Parton, her show in Sevierville, and make a little mountain weekend out of it. So they flew to Nashville, got in the car, drove to Sevierville. Here's the first thing we didn't know about Sevierville, dry county. What? Oh my God, what a vacation killer. And I had already bought 4 tickets to the Dixie Stampede because the concert wasn't until the following night. So we're like, okay, well, we'll ignore this. I should also say my friend Lorene is Filipino, like 2nd generation Filipino. And she's like, this is going to be weird, right? There's not going to be any Asians here, right? There's certainly not going to be any Filipinos. I said, no, Lorene, there's probably not. And that's why when anybody asks, we're going to say you're Hawaiian. We might even put you in a lei just so we get friendly responses. We don't need to lose you by some hillbilly outrage that they're letting Asians down here. So we did play a game, you had to spot the minority, and it couldn't be the help. And the only person we saw was Lorene. So, because the other 3 are not Asian. Anyway, so we go to the Stampede. That's night 1. And we get there, no alcohol. First of all, they shove you. And I get why Dolly has to do this. But that's when you get to the thing and you think it's a bar. They put you in this holding pen that feels like a giant Shakey's pizza. I don't even know. A barn dance, a shindig, I don't know, a hoedown. And then it appears to be a bar. This is one of my biggest gripes in life. If you don't have a bar, if you don't have alcohol, don't build a bar. because that's just trickery and witchcraft, and it's evil. Because I thought, oh, I'll go get us all something to drink, meaning alcohol. Well, no, you're not. You want full lemonade or full Pepsi? Neither. Do you have iced tea? No. I don't think they had iced tea. So we hang out. There's like a band. Picture Shakey's Pizza, except with banjos and like more hillbilly things. And then you're loaded into the Dixie Stampede, which is this giant arena. There's a woman from Slate magazine, I think, that wrote an article about it that does a much better job. But the night I was there, I think we picked the North, because I said, is there any, and they don't like these kind of questions. I said, is there any ramification of which side I pick? Because I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but I already know who lost. Do we get something if we win as the North? No matter what, I'm going North, even though I'm from Missouri, which was half North, half South, undecided, purple, couldn't decide. We went with the North on behalf of Lorene, mostly, because my friend Kathy's from Georgia. She probably would have voted South. Anyway, they bring you food that you have to eat with your hands. Not kidding. There's soup. You get no silverware. And you will get, I think it was iced tea in there. And then I think I thought, well, why couldn't I? It's just what I would call an Americana show. But there's a lot of Dixie and this and that and flags and the North versus the South. It's all supposed to be family fun, but nobody ever talks about the Civil War. That's what's amazing. You sit in watch this entire show and nobody mentions we had a war. It's just like the fun parts of war. Remember that? I don't, but then we went to see Dolly, who, by the way, has a Christmas album coming out. I forgot to mention that, Holly Dolly Christmas. You're all going to want to go get that. You also might want to, I downloaded Dolly Sings Those Were the Days, and it's an album of her doing covers of old songs, which is really something. She does quite a number on a few songs where you're like, wow, I never thought of it like that. Those were the days, my friend, I thought they never end. Anyway, something to do in the car. So we went to the Dolly concert in Sevierville. Once again, we did not learn, well, hey, it's a dry county. It's probably not going to have any alcohol in the concert either. And we totally could have loaded up our purses with stuff. It was not like anyone was checking, because I don't think a lot of those people even think about drinking. I really felt like we were in a mountain town, we were just about, in my opinion, 5 beers away from rattlesnake handling. Like, that could have happened. That could have happened in the Dolly concert. And now, mind you, I've only seen Dolly 2 other times. I saw her in Atlanta, one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. Cher's hard to top, ever, because she really goes all out. But Dolly's was great. And then I saw her in L.A., and she was great there outside at the Hollywood Bowl. So I thought, it's always a great show. No, not this one, because she was amongst her own. I felt like everybody there was a relative who was angry with her, or sort of like jealous. They didn't give her any love. Somebody asked my friend Kathy if she could sit down. We're at a concert, and it's folding chairs, no alcohol. Then she even catered to them, this crowd. She said, well, I know we're all Christian here, and I'm going to sing a Christian hymn I think we all know. No, we don't. Not these 4 Catholics. No. Yeah, I know one song. We are one in the Christians, we are one in the Lord. And it sounds like we're going to march and kill more people. They didn't even respond to that. Then she did Rocky Top. Now, for you people who don't know that song, it's all about Tennessee. I thought that'll get them. And the whole thing, by the way, was free. She was doing it for free for her Imagination Library. I just thought it was the worst crowd. And jokingly, I said, we'll probably see her peeling down the highway before we even get out of the parking lot. And what did we see? Dolly Parton's bus peeling down the highway. And I thought, good for her. I don't think I could perform for my family if they were mad at me, jealous. I don't know what that was. It was a very weird evangelical family strange vibe. And it wasn't Dolly's fault. I'll say that for the record. It was the crowd. Because people always say in comedy, don't ever blame the crowd. It's always you. That's bullshit. Bullshit. Sometimes the crowd just is dumb. Sometimes they're drunk. Sometimes they're both. Most of the time, no. But sometimes, yeah, that was a shitty crowd. And I felt bad for her. Anyway, this brings me to my point. And I'm really trying not to talk about politics or anything, but when Stevie and Dolly are mouthing off, you know, it has to be addressed. This is her whole point. As soon as you realize there's a problem with something, you should fix it. Don't be a dumbass. That's where my heart is. I would never dream of hurting anybody on purpose. Exactly. So if you know something is offensive, why do you just insist upon doing it? If you look up, okay, Washington Redskins Lou's team, Lou's Wax football team, which I don't think they're going to get a victory in our lifetime. I mean, like a Super Bowl. If you look up Redskin in the dictionary, it says it's a slur. So, well, how about we just not do that? This is where I don't get why people are like, yeah, but it's been the name forever. Don't you want some new merch? How about some new bed sheets that don't say Redskins on them? Wouldn't that be fun? Now, sadly, they chose the Washington Football Club, which I think is beyond a lack of imagination, and they should have gone to Dolly's Imagination Library and got a book, maybe on how to think of a creative name. I don't know why nobody's taken the Hunters and make all your merch camo. Do you know how much money you'd make? Cha-ching! Somebody can have that for free. Maybe it's Huntsville, Alabama ever gets a team, they could be the Huntsville Hunters. How about that? Just saying. So this is what it brings me to, because everybody's fighting about, should we, you know, it's just cancel culture. No. Sometimes it's time to change things. Why? Just to be a better person. Why is that so awful? Like, I can tell you for sure, when I was a kid growing up, we always used to say the word retarded. A lot. Like, I probably called my siblings that at least 20 times a day. And then as I grew up and grew older, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but I used to have that. And like when I first started comedy, I used the word retard, not retarded. I used retard as a slam. And then somebody with a Down syndrome kid came up and said, you know, if that kid was here, would you be comfortable saying that? I'm like, probably not, because it sounds kind of mean. But I was really saying it to my brother. But upon realizing, you know, it's kind of shitty to say, I just don't say it anymore. Is my life changed? Did it go south? My whole life go south because I quit using slur? No. This is a little information about how much we've changed as a society. This is an article from the Baltimore Sun, and I know this because my comedian friend Chuck Martin grew up in this town. In July 1974, this is by a man named Roger Simon. I went to the small town of Pekin, Illinois, with a group of Chinese Americans from Chicago who were offended by the name of the Pekin's high school football team. Pekin, named for the Chinese city of Peking, called its team the Chinks. Yeah. The students at Peking High told the visitors that they loved their Chinks and that it was a name that was with honor and respect and no harm was intended. The Chinese Americans argued that regardless of how it was intended, it was degrading and racist and should be changed. Afterwards, the students took a vote, and the Chinks won, 1,034 to 182. There was 182 people in 1974 that went, we could probably think of something else, right? And I'm sure there's probably no Chinese people in Peking, Illinois at the time, maybe 5. It took a visiting group of Chinese Americans to go, hey man, that's a little outdated and kind of shitty. Finally, in 1980, as times names and sensitivities grew, the school board changed the name to the Dragons. Some of the alumni were outraged and formed a group to change the name back. Pat Hagen, a Pekin High graduate, invoked the name of the town's most famous native son, Senate Minority Leader Everett McKinley Dirksen. He was born a Chink, Hagen said. He died a Chink, and he's known around the world as a Chink. Okay, you've really overstepped how many people who know who the Senate Minority Leader is at any time in this country, because I can tell you right now, but I can't tell you except for right now. So let's not say the world knows that. You think people in Ireland know who the Senate Minority Leader is? I don't. The school board stuck to its decision, but for years afterwards, at high school reunions, graduates passed out mementos that said Chinks forever. I was reminded of all this when I recently read a story about protests at Stanford University because a conservative school newspaper had revived the old school mascot, an Indian, in the paper. Stanford changed its name of its team from the Indians to the Cardinals in 1972. But there were still more than 90 junior colleges that have Indian names that are offensive, along with 1,500 high schools and at least 5 professional sports teams. And then it goes on and on about the Washington Redskins and and then the guy said they changed a lot of the Indian ones. He said the time for these symbols has gone. It's time to move forward. You cannot move forward by looking backward. We took the land from the American Indians. We gave them disease, alcohol, and reservations in return. At least we can give them their dignity. It's a small price to pay for an entire continent. Thank you, Roger, for writing that. There's a few more facts about this that I also think you should know. Before they were the Chinks, they were the Celestials. Now, I mean, who pulled that out of their ass? That's like Stevie Nicks named them. I don't mind it, and it's not offensive or a slur, but it didn't catch on. In Pekin, the Pekin Celestials, it is hard to say, it didn't really do that good. And then they tried out the Robots and the Reds. Nope. But around 1930, the school settled on what would endure for 50 years, the Chinks. In case you're wondering, because I find this all fascinating, they also had a roller rink attached to all this that was called the Chink Rink. And if you think I'm making that up, go Google it. The Chinks' earliest mascot representation was Mr. Bamboo, an affable coolie whose pudgy smile was accentuated by a traditional pigtail haircut and tiny pillbox-style hat. The real-life mascot, Spot, was later filled by two representatives from the student body, Chink and Chinkette. That's what they called them. The students bearing these honorifics wore shiny red silk jackets and as well as the cone-shaped patty hats. What the fuck is a patty hat? Patty's a slur against my people. Paddy wagon, because Padraig is Gaelic for Patrick, so when they pick up a bunch of Irish drunks, they say, put them with the patties. What's a cone-shaped patty hat? Why did that not make it to Ireland? We got totally ripped off out of a hat, I guess, that Americans associate with Asian field workers. Oh, now I know. Like the rice field, yeah. Their responsibilities of the Chink and the Chinklet included walking solemnly out at halftime to cross their arms and bow before visiting teams' representatives. They would bow and strike a gong after each touchdown. Holy shit. The school gained notoriety after twice winning the state basketball championship in the 60s. To the 67 celebration, the city council signed a resolution declaring it to be Chinks Week. I'm not done. I see I highlight stuff so you don't have to listen to all the boring shit. I do work for you guys. I do. I mean, I don't work for you, but I do work for you. Here's the thing about voting. God, that pickle juice is good. Then they changed it. Yeah, the roller rink that was once called the Chink Rink is now the Puff the Magic Dragon Golf and Games. Oh, Putt the Magic Dragon Golf and Games. Wow. PCH, the high school, still has dragon imagery on its wall and uniforms for nearly 30 years. It's not known whether they'd like to be called the Chinks again. No one has suggested putting that to a vote. Yeah, how about do we have enough lunches for everybody? Not do we want to be called that again. See, I went through all this. Okay, this is how mad some of them were. A lot of students and alumni very upset. A couple hundred marched in protest outside the school chanting slogans like Pekin Chinks, Dragon Stinks, and carrying placards that sing, old Chinks never die, they just drag on. Get it, dragon? Drag on, drag dash on. Public anger gradually subsided. Oh, I'm so glad they got beyond this. Except for the last of the Chinks t-shirt that appeared at the graduation ceremony that spring. In 2011, academia got around to celebrating the transition with a journalism's master thesis out of Ball State. And then somebody did a master's thesis on this. So see, you're not listening to some bullshit podcast where people are just babbling on about what they ate. Which, by the way, I had some of those white cheddar Cheeto Puffs. Wow. Don't even let yourself walk by those in the grocery store. They're so good. Somebody did a whole master's thesis, The Pekin Chinks, a historical account of a city's tradition. The battle online continues. And yeah, one guy said the school buckled under to pointy-headed, sucking liberals who run the political correctness Gestapo in this country. Now, we're not just gonna, well, this is more of my peeking thing, just because I couldn't even believe the details of this. I think I already told you all this. And my friend Chuck, who told me about all this a long time ago, I think still has one of the jackets that has Mr. Bamboo on the back. I told him he should get on eBay, see how much he can get for that. But you know, it's not just Pekin in Illinois who grew up and moved on and said, you know, hey, maybe we shouldn't call our teams this kind of shit because it makes us look ignorant. Before the Braves moved to Atlanta, the capital of Georgia had their own AAA baseball team called the Atlanta Crackers. Not happy with one team, the city decided it needed two crackers, and so the Negro League created the Atlanta Black Crackers. And after the desegregation of baseball, the Black Crackers lost most of its players, disbanding in 1952. Yep. Here's one for you. It's not just Pekin, Illinois. There's an Ohio high school, imaginatively named East High. They used the name East High Arabs. And in the 40s, they thought Arabs wasn't invoking this fighting spirit the school sought. So the team's sports change were changed to the awe-inducing Orientals. They didn't change that till 2010. They were the Orientals, which I'm sure my dad would go, well, it says Oriental food in the grocery store. Just at the lake, Dad. It says Asian in other places. Here's another group, the swastikas. This is to make Pekin feel just a little bit better. Not that I'm here to tend to their wounds, but before that evil guy Hitler screwed everything up, the swastika used to be a popular and well-used symbol. Even now, Westerners visiting Japan might be shocked to look at a map and see swastikas everywhere. Swastikas mark the location of temples in Japan. Before those pesky German Nazis, in Canada alone, there were at least 3 hockey teams called the Swastikas. The women's team, the Fernie Swastikas, were active in the 20s, winning the 1923 Alpine Cup at the Banff Winter Carnival Women's Ice Hockey Championship. There were also 2 other teams, one in Edmonton and one in Windsor. But here's my favorite one as far as slurs go, because these other ones are just kind of, oh no, I have 2 good ones left. The Fighting Whiteys. Somebody got really mad. The Fighting Whiteys were a group of Native Americans and other minorities who formed an intramural basketball team in the University of Northern Colorado in 2002 as a political statement against athletic teams who used images of Native Americans. The team's name created media storms and their t-shirts ended up being a top seller, but they had to include the statement, fighting the use of Native American stereotypes to prevent the shirts from being used by white supremacist groups. You know what, America? Maybe we just took on too much. Maybe we have bit off more than we can chew as a nation, and now we're fighting on t-shirts. That was a little Busch Latte. Not that I don't think that one was a good idea. This could be the all-time, are you kidding me? They don't say what year. Oh, well, no, it doesn't. I can't see what year. Wahpeton, North Dakota, is a small town in the wastelands of North Dakota. I've never been there. I've been to North Dakota, but not to Wahpeton. There's probably a gig there. I could probably go do comedy outside there right now. They'd be so happy. Just somebody showed up. The local high school, seeking a suitable name for their athletics program, chose a name that would strike fear in anyone that competed with them, saying a lot about the North Dakota culture. I like whoever wrote this because they're just being snarky. The Wahpeton school body chose the Wahpeton Wops. Yep, W-O-P-S. Apparently, the scariest thing they could think of was a horde of Catholic Italians pillaging the prairies. For the mascot, and I'm not kidding, they had a dude running around with a purple sheet over his head with the eye holes cut out, a sort of purple KKK anti-Italian outfit. They even had a WAP chant. Ready for this? Do you have your pickle juice? We are the WAPs, the mighty, mighty WAPs. Everywhere we go, people want to know who we are, so we tell them, we are the WAPs. So, I think that's all on that subject. I just think the point is, if you're offending a large group of people, how hard is it to change? Are you really going to die? Is it going to ruin your world? Talk about a snowflake. The amount of people I had, they can't change the name. I already have the souvenirs. What are you, 50? Go buy a new bumper sticker. How hard is it? A new little decal. All right, I have to look at what time it is because I have other things to do today. Not really. I don't have anything else to do. But that was a fun little trip down racist lane. Racist. There's so much more online, but I didn't want to take up the whole podcast. But I thought you guys might like it. But just because I do the research, I'm here for you. And these are the things that interest me when people go crazy about why do the Redskins have to change it. They don't have to. But as Dolly would say, if I'm actively hurting anybody, why would I want to do that? And she's a business lady, let's not forget that. She don't want to lose any customers at the Dixie Stampede, now known as the Stampede. I think we should address that Civil War thing at some point. But you know what? Dolly does what she does, and I have no input on that. There's a little bit of news that's not, it's kind of political. Shouldn't be, but it was made political, and that's the post office. And there's an evil man trying to destroy the post office. And a lot of you know my act. I'm not going to redo my joke, but my point is, it's a wonderful institution. And I always go, when people go, the post office, it loses money. It's supposed to. So does the military. How much is the military made? It's supposed to lose money. I do agree it could be formatted a little differently. We probably don't need to lose as much as we're losing because I really do love I love my post guy, Ben. He's wonderful. I love the post office. I have jokes about it in my act, but, you know, they're a little, they could just do the mail and everybody else do the packages. Maybe something like that. I don't know. And then I don't understand because now Trumpy's guy is trying to steal all the mailboxes and all that. I think they're going to put an end to that. But, you know, is he going to put them back? Is Louis DeJoie going to return the mailboxes? Me doubts it. Me doubts it. Here's another thing I didn't understand about the post office. If they're always in debt, why did they give Lance Armstrong $5 million to ride his bicycle around France? Anybody? He had to pay him $5 million back because he cheated and he lied about it and they found out about it. And that's another lesson. Don't fuck with the post office. If they find out you're a jerk. And it was a $100 million lawsuit. He settled for $5 million. Which brings me to the fact that if you don't watch ESPN's 30 for 30s, I'm just recommending it. Even if you don't like sports, doesn't matter. They're stories, they're movies. I really like the one about Bruce Lee because I didn't know anything about Bruce Lee except that my brother had one of those trash cans in his room that had Bruce Lee all over it. And then he had Bruce Lee posters, and for like a year, he thought he could fly. And he couldn't. He was just an idiot in the Midwest leaping downstairs in a house in St. Louis. It didn't work out. But anyway, there's all these ESPN 30 for 30s, and there's a two-parter on Lance Armstrong and him being a U.S. Post Office writer, and then all of the cheating in the lawsuits. And then here's a little something. I went to Iraq and Afghanistan with Mr. Armstrong, not just me and him. There was like, it was me, Lewis Black, Lance, Robin Williams, and Kix Brooks, the country singer, who I didn't know because I don't know. But he was very nice. Brooks and Dunn, I guess, is the group. But anyway, he sang songs. It was fine. And Lou goes, what is Lance Armstrong going to do? I said, I heard he's going to teach spin classes. And Lou goes, what? Where are they going to get bicycles in Kabul? I go, Lou, I made that up. I don't know what he's going to do. He's famous. I guess he'll sign autographs. People want to meet him. I don't know. But I can tell you this. Lance likes Lance a lot. And his level of competitiveness every day, and we didn't understand why, we would get in Black Hawk helicopters. Well, I mean, I knew why we were getting in a Black Hawk helicopter, and the doors are open, and there's two gunner people. There's one up front. Yeah, I think they're just up front in those. And then you'd have to report to this area in the gravel. They'd say, be out in the gravel at 8 o'clock, and or whatever, and then we're all going to get on this Black Hawk, and Lewis would be basically projectile vomiting. He was so nervous. But every day Lance would run by us and stand at like the mark. And then one day I said, why do you do that? Why do you run around me and Lou? And he goes, well, because I want to get first spot, and I want to, I want to be in the gunner seat. I said, you know what's crazy, Lance? You could have just said that, because neither me or Lou want to do any of that. And you've been running all this time and wasting your time. So your little competition in your mind that all of a sudden Lewis and I might break out into a sprint. Lewis was in a gym one time in his life, and he asked the lady if they had a levitator. Now, if that doesn't tell you somebody who does it, I go, a levitator? Wow, Lou, you mean like exorcist shit? You want to float? You want to float in this gym at this hotel? He's like, well, I don't know. What are they called? And then I couldn't even think of what they're called either. And then here was the other one of Lance. Like, I can't say he's likable. He's something to be around, though, because you can't, I'm competitive in some ways, but not like full-time, not like, there was a dust storm, a major sandstorm, and warnings, don't go out of the building. They canceled all of our flights. We were going nowhere. We were doing nothing all day, except the one order we had was remain inside. That was it. Well, what does he do? He goes out jogging. Then he comes back, and he's all sweaty, and Lou's just laying in a bottom bunk bed, smoking a cigarette, going, he's crazy. He's crazy. I won't even make eye contact. He's crazy. I said, no, Lou, he's just way more, we don't even understand type A people like this. He went and jogged with like the Missouri National Guard, because I think there's some, people that are excited. It's that guy, Lance Armstrong, and let's see if you can beat Lance Armstrong. Well, of course they couldn't beat him. I mean, he's a triathlete also. And then he comes in our little bunk bed room, and he's bragging about it. He's like, I totally kicked their ass. I'm like, you should, Lance. You're a professional athlete. These are Missouri National Guard people. They're chubby, and they thought they were going to be cleaning up after tornadoes. Fast forward, they're in Kandahar running around a base in a sandstorm with Lance Armstrong. They did it because they got nothing else to do. But if you didn't beat them, I would wonder. And that was before he got caught for cheating and all that. But anyway, I love the post office. I hope that works out. And you should go watch Lance's 30 for 30. It's a two-parter. They don't hardly ever have two-parters. And you can tell from the thing, he ain't sorry. He's just pissed he got caught. And he's pissed that nobody else got in trouble that he thinks, which I can understand if you're all doing it and you think, why just me? Well, because, you're the star and you made the most money. That Floyd guy, he didn't have all that money. That's the last of my pickle shot. All right. Well, I usually leave you guys with a mystery. But first I'm going to tell you, too. Here's a little something else you might want to watch. It's really old people, kind of. But here's why I like it, because the guests aren't necessarily old people. Dan Rather has a show on Access TV, and I think it's called The Big Interview. That's what it's called. And I first started watching this on the road because it's on Saturdays when there's no sports on. And he had Ann Wilson of Heart on. And he's my new Larry King, Dan. And I do like him, but he's getting older. And Ann said she quit drinking wine. And Dan took a big pause, and he goes, so, how long have you been off the grape? I was like, what? You did not just say that out loud. But he did. Anyway, he had Nora Jones on. He just interviews a lot of musicians, mostly Roger Waters. He's a very serious person. That one was kind of boring. But it's something to watch if you want to see old. Well, they're not all old. Some are young. Nora Jones is not old. So on my mysteries, and I have to say, please, East Coast people, do not jump my shit that I don't know this, okay? It looks like I know everything, doesn't it? Just by my desk alone. Dolly Parton candle. Ron White bobblehead. Jameson water pitcher. Whatever. Somebody told me, I thought it was a gravy bowl. Somebody said, no, they used to put water in those in the pubs. I'm like, buzzkill. Tito's vodka. It's a very professional work environment. So I'm going through my mysteries. I like to tell you guys, and I never heard of this, and I know East Coast people are going to be, how did you never hear this? I don't know. And I also didn't even know why it didn't occur to me to ever think, why was the hockey team named this? I can tell you why it didn't occur to me, but anyway. This is about the Jersey Devil. And I'm sure everybody in the East Coast knows, but I guarantee you a lot of people in the Midwest don't know, and the West Coast definitely doesn't know. For close to 3 centuries, near the heavily forested pine barrens in New Jersey, the Jersey Devil, described as a long-necked, 2-legged, hooved flying creature, has been allegedly seen by countless times. Legend claims around 1735, a local woman, Jane Leeds, was pregnant with her 13th child, and the night before it was born, she proclaimed, "Let this one be the devil." I don't know. I'd have probably said that on the 7th kid. She went all the way to 13. Why does she want it to be the devil? I don't know why anybody would say that. Anyway, once the child was born, it transformed into the monster, sprouting wings, hooves, and a tail. From the 1800s to the 1900s, several reports of encounters and attack were recorded, including one by Napoleon Bonaparte's brother, Joseph. How would you like to be Napoleon's brother? That would so suck. Well, now, Joseph, Napoleon has conquered all of Europe. What have you done this weekend? Exactly. Joseph said he'd seen the devil while he was hunting in the area. Over the years, locals have claimed to hear strange noises, observed unexplained tracks, and have even reported direct sightings of the devil. Rewards finding and capturing the creature have ranged from $100,000 to $250,000. Although no one has been able to prove its existence, many still believe in the centuries-old cryptid. So that's a little part of it. And then I did a little more research. Why? Because I'm here for you guys. Now, you won't be able to see this, but if you go to Wikipedia, they show you a picture of what it kind of looks like. I would also maybe say it has the head of a goat. Picture a goat. But I think I even, this is all about the Leeds family, but somebody said Benjamin Franklin made this whole thing up because he didn't like the father of that 13th baby, some guy named Leeds. Okay, this I like. This is 1909. This is the last big sighting time, let's say. During the week of January 16th through 23rd, 1909, newspapers of the time published hundreds of claimed encounters with the Jersey Devil from all over the state. I mean, how crazy is that, too, if you're Benjamin Franklin? That was a slur back then. That was a political attack. You know what? I'm going to tell everybody that he's got a devil child. And that's part goat, part, I don't even know, bat. And people believed it. Among alleged encounters publicized this week were claims that the creature attacked a trolley car in Hayden Heights and a social club in Camden. Police in Camden and Bristol, Pennsylvania, supposedly fired upon the creature to no effect. Other reports initially concerned unidentified footprints in the snow, but soon sightings of the creature resembling the Jersey Devil were reported throughout all of South Jersey, as far away as Delaware and Western Maryland. Well, I'm going to have to ask Lewis if he's ever seen it. He's from Silver Springs, Maryland. Maybe Lewis knows about the Jersey Devil. Oh, no, he doesn't, because I asked him. The widespread newspaper coverage created fear throughout the Delaware area, prompting a number of schools to close and workers to stay home. Wow! Instead of COVID, they had a devil. Made them stay home. Vigilante groups and groups of hunted roamed the pines and the countrysides in search of the devil. During this period, it's rumored that the Philadelphia Zoo, this is my favorite part, posted a $10,000 reward for the creature. The offer prompted a variety of hoaxes, including this one. This is a great one. A kangaroo equipped with artificial claws and bat wings. Somebody thought that would work. And you know what? This is why, if you're a hockey fan, the New Jersey Devils are called the Devils. Now, the reason I never questioned why are they called the Devils? Because I just thought, well, that's a good little thing. Devils can mess you up. That's a good, thing. Like, let's call ourselves the Devils. It's evil and powerful, and so I didn't even think, was there a real New Jersey Devil? Wouldn't have occurred to me. But now we all know that's our little mystery. And I think, that's all I got for you guys for this Tuesday. I'm going to finish my Busch Latte and go watch a little hockey, because hockey's on. I'm a big St. Louis Blues fan. You all know that. Stanley Cup winners 2019. Just bragging a little bit. And on my sports update, too, I do think it's kind of exciting that Kansas City, the Chiefs say they're going to let the stadium be 22% occupied. Then I read other teams, Tennessee Titans, not so much, no fans. So I don't know what's going on with all that. Golf is still moving along. Basketball is doing well. And hockey. No, baseball, not so much. My dirty birds, the Cardinals. What's this? Fred Bird. That's right. And his head opens up. That's a little beer stein. If you can't see my Fred Bird, he's the mascot of the St. Louis Cardinals. My dirty birds had more cases of COVID. We have like 20,000 games postponed. We're going to be playing baseball. These specific people are going to be playing baseball till they're 94 years old to make up the games they've lost, because some people, I can't name names because I don't know the names, but some of them apparently went out and snuck around to places they shouldn't have been and picked up the COVID. All right, you guys. I promised I'd tell you about Lake Lanier because I'm into lakes, and I'm especially into Lake Lanier because supposedly some people, it was trending a couple weekends ago, and I will do that next week because I have to do a little more research on if it's haunted. I don't know if people believe that, but also in preparation for next week's episode, if you have time, please go watch the show about John McAfee called Gringo, because I will be talking about the madness, and he's alive and well, which is shocking after everything you see, and he's on Twitter if you'd like to follow him. Yeah, so that's a little preview for next week. And that's all I got, termites. Do we have fun? Did you learn things? Do you feel like you wasted your time? I don't feel like we wasted time. And I think it's nice my ladies mouthed off because they never say anything. You won't be hearing from them again, I'm sure, for a very long time. If you'd like to hear Landslide again ever in real life, wear a mask. If you don't care about that, don't. Just don't. All right, termites. I'm going to sign you all off. You ready? Night-night, termites.